In the tranquil Bavarian countryside of 1970s Germany, a story of faith, fear, and deep tragedy unfolded around a young woman named Anneliese Michel. Her case would ignite international intrigue and remain an unsettling testament to the complex meeting of spiritual conviction, mental illness, and the responsibilities carried by families and institutions. As haunting audio tapes circulated and details emerged, the world watched a courtroom drama that forced society to question where science ends and belief begins. This is the chronicle of Anneliese Michel's heartbreaking struggle and its far-reaching repercussions. Anneliese Michel was born in 1952 in Leibelfing, Germany, to a devoutly Catholic family who instilled in her a strong sense of faith from an early age. Her life seemed unremarkable until, at 16, she suffered her first seizure, which marked the beginning of a series of terrifying and unexplainable events. Doctors soon diagnosed her with temporal lobe epilepsy and psychosis, launching her into years of psychiatric treatment for depression and deteriorating mental health. Despite these efforts, Anneliese's symptoms gradually worsened as she developed an intense fear of religious symbols, reported hallucinations, and became increasingly withdrawn and suicidal. By 1973, years of medication had yielded no miraculous recovery, and Anneliese's family began to see signs that they interpreted as supernatural. They noticed her violent aversion to sacred objects, disturbing changes in her voice, and chilling claims of demonic voices commanding her, which unsettled even her caretakers. Desperate for hope, the Michels turned to the Catholic Church, pleading for an exorcism, though church officials were at first hesitant and encouraged continued reliance on medical professionals and psychiatric therapy. Nevertheless, their persistence never wavered, believing that dark forces, not earthly ills, were at play. Against the backdrop of whispering speculation and mounting dread, two priests, Father Arnold Renz and Father Ernst Alt, eventually obtained official church permission to perform the long-sought exorcism rites. Between 1975 and 1976, Anneliese endured an agonizing 67 sessions, each lasting up to 4 hours, during which she exhibited violent seizures, grimacing contortions, and guttural outbursts that only deepened the fears of those present. These emotionally and physically taxing rituals were carried out over the course of nearly a year, as her family ceased all ongoing medical care, turning entirely to spiritual intervention. The atmosphere in the Michel household grew increasingly charged, with hope and horror intermingling as Anneliese's condition dramatically worsened. As the relentless cycle of exorcism sessions continued, Anneliese became severely malnourished, refusing food and water in a state of chronic suffering. On July 1, 1976, after months of physical decline and emotional torment, she died at just 23 years of age, her once bright life dimmed by trauma and despair. The official autopsy was a chilling affirmation of her family's worst fears, concluding that starvation and dehydration, direct results of her protracted ordeal, had caused her death. The world reacted with shock, and the tragedy fueled intense fascination as well as bewilderment over how this had been allowed to happen. The aftermath of Anneliese's death exploded into the public consciousness when her parents and the two priests were brought to trial on charges of negligent homicide in 1978. The courtroom brimmed with tension, as defense lawyers argued that demonic possession, not human error, had taken her life, even playing harrowing audio recordings allegedly featuring voices of demons speaking through Anneliese. The prosecution, however, maintained that fundamental responsibilities had been neglected, particularly in the abandonment of appropriate medical care as her health catastrophically failed. Ultimately, all four were found guilty, but received suspended sentences and probation, sparking debate and controversy that lingered far beyond the walls of the court. The harrowing details of Anneliese Michel's case reverberated across continents, prompting soul-searching discussions about the fine line between faith and delusion, care and negligence. In response, the Catholic Church revised its policies regarding exorcisms, now requiring broader panels that include doctors and psychologists to rigorously vet cases for possible medical explanations. German bishops later distanced themselves from the original claims of possession, a move that echoed the shifting attitudes within the church and society at large. Her story inspired books, documentaries, and mainstream films such as The Exorcism of Emily Rose, engraving her tragedy into the fabric of modern culture. The case of Anneliese Michel endures as a haunting reminder of the perilous intersection between belief, mental health, and institutional duty. Her life and death challenge us to examine how compassion, science, and faith may best work together to protect the most vulnerable among us. As questions about responsibility, belief, and the limits of intervention persist, her legacy continues to spark debate and reflection on how we respond to the unseen battles that rage within the human mind. Ultimately, Anneliese's story stands as both a tragedy and a cautious lesson for future generations.